Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So I thought I'd read from the classic A Still Forest Pool today. I'll be reading, I just found some of the ones I liked the most, so I'll be switching around page-wise, and I'll say which number for Ajahn Nyaniko. Beginning on page 5. The Simple Path. Traditionally, the Eightfold Path is taught with 8 steps, such as right understanding, right speech, right concentration, and so forth. But the true Eightfold Path is within us: 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, a tongue, and a body. These 8 doors are our entire path, and the mind is the one that walks on the path. To know these doors, examine them, and all the dharmas will be revealed. The heart of the path is so simple. No need for long explanations. Give up clinging to love and hate. Just rest with things as they are. That is all I do in my own practice. Do not try to become anything. Do not make yourself into anything. Do not be a meditator. Do not become enlightened. When you sit, let it be. When you walk, let it be. Grasp at nothing. Resist nothing. Of course, there are dozens of meditation techniques to develop samadhi and many kinds of vipassana, but it all comes back to this. Just let it all be. Step over here where it is cool, out of the battle. Why not give it a try? Do you dare? Page 12. Buddhist Psychology. One day, a famous woman lecturer on Buddhist metaphysics came to see Ajahn Chah. This woman gave periodic teachings in Bangkok on the Abhidharma and complex Buddhist psychology. In talking to Ajahn Chah, she detailed how important it was for people to understand Buddhist psychology and how much her students benefited from their study with her. She asked him whether he agreed with the importance of such understanding. Yes, very important, he agreed. Delighted, she further questioned whether he had his own students learn Abhidharma. Oh yes, of course. And where, she asked, did he recommend they start? Which books and studies were best? Only here, he said, pointing to his heart. Only here. Page 21. Thieves in your heart. The purpose of meditation is to raise things up and put them to the test, to understand their essence. For example, we see the body as something fine and beautiful, whereas the Buddha tells us it is unclean, impermanent, and prone to suffering. Which view accords with the truth? We are like visitors to a foreign country, not knowing the language. We cannot easily enjoy ourselves. But once we have learned the language, we can laugh and joke with others. Or we are like children who have to grow up before we can understand what grown-ups are saying. The normal view is that the elements of our life, beginning with the body, are stable. One child plays with his balloon until it catches on a branch or a thorn and bursts, leaving him in tears. Another child, smarter than the first, knows that his balloon can burst easily and is not upset when it does. People go through life blindly, ignoring the fact of death like gourmets feasting on fine foods, never thinking they will have to excrete. Then nature calls, but having made no provision, they do not know where to go. There is danger in the world, danger from the elements, danger from thieves. These dangers have their counterparts in the temples too. The Buddha taught us to investigate these dangers and gave the name bhikkhu to one who ordains. Bhikkhu has 2 meanings, one who begs and one who sees the danger in the round of samsara, of grasping. Beings experience greed, hatred, and delusion. Succumbing to these defilements, they reap the results, increase their bad habits, and make yet more karma, and again succumb to the defilements. Why can't you get rid of greed, hatred, and delusion? It's your own thinking. If your own thinking is wrong, you will suffer. If you understand correctly, you can end suffering. Know the workings of karma, of cause and effect. Attachment to pleasure brings suffering in its wake. You gorge yourself on good food, but stomach trouble and intestinal discomfort follow. Or you steal something and are happy with it, but later the police come around to arrest you. When you watch, you can learn how to act. You can learn to end grasping and sorrow. The Buddha, seeing this, wanted to escape from the real dangers of the world, which we have to overcome within ourselves. External dangers are not as frightening as the dangers within. What are the elements of this inner danger? Wind. Things come at the senses, causing compulsion, lust, anger, and ignorance to arise, destroying what is good in us. Normally, we see the wind only as that which blows the leaves about, not seeing the wind of our senses, which, unwatched, can cause the storms of desire. Fire. Our temple may never have been struck by fire, but greed, hatred, and delusion burn us constantly. Lust and aversion cause us to speak and do wrong. Delusion leads us to see good as bad, bad as good. The ugly is beautiful, the valueless is valuable. But one who does not meditate does not see this and is overcome by these fires. Water. Here the danger is the flood of defilement in our hearts, submerging our true nature. Thieves. The real thieves do not exist outside us. Our monastery has seen thieves only once in 20 years, but inwardly the 5 gangs of attachment, the aggregates, are ever robbing, beating, and destroying us. What are these 5 aggregates? Body. It is a prey to illness and pain. When it does not accord with our wishes, we have grief and sorrow. Not understanding the natural aging and decay of the body, we suffer. We feel attraction or repulsion towards the bodies of others and are robbed of true peace. Feelings. When pain and pleasure arise, we forget that they are impermanent, suffering, and not self. We identify with our emotions and are thus tortured by our wrong understandings. Memories and perceptions. Identifying with what we recognize and remember gives rise to greed, hatred, and delusion. Our wrong understanding becomes habitual, stored in the subconscious. Volitions and other elements of the mind. Not understanding the nature of mental states, we react, and thoughts and feelings, likes and dislikes, happiness and sorrow arise. Forgetting that they are impermanent, suffering, and selfless, we cling to them. Consciousness. We grasp that which knows the other aggregates. We think, I know, I am, I feel, and are bound by this illusion of self, of separation. All these thieves, this wrong understanding, leads to wrong action. The Buddha had no desire for this. He saw that there was no true happiness to be found here. Thus he gave the name bhikkhu to those who also see this danger and seek a way out. The Buddha taught his monks the true nature of the 5 aggregates and how to let go of them without clinging to them as me or mine. When we understand them, we will see that they have potential for great harm or great value, but they do not disappear. They are simply no longer grasped as our own. After his enlightenment, the Buddha still had physical ills, had feelings of pain and pleasure, had memories, thoughts, and consciousness, but he did not cling to them as being self, as being me or mine. He knew them as they were, and the one who knew was also not I, not self. Separating the 5 aggregates from the defilements and from clinging is like clearing the brush in the forest without destroying the trees. There is just a constant arising and falling away. Defilement cannot gain a foothold. We are simply being born and dying with the aggregates. They just come and go according to their natures. If someone curses us and we have no feelings of self, the incident ends with the spoken words, and we do not suffer. If unpleasant feelings arise, we should let them stop there, realizing that the feelings are not us. He hates me, he troubles me, he is my enemy. A bhikkhu does not think like this, nor does he hold views of pride or comparison. If we do not stand up in the line of fire, we do not get shot. If there is no one to receive it, the letter is sent back. Moving gracefully through the world, not caught in evaluating each event, a bhikkhu becomes serene. This is the way of nibbana, empty and free. Investigate the 5 aggregates, then. Make a clean forest. You will be a different person. Those who understand emptiness and practice accordingly are few, but they come to know the greatest joy. Why not try it? You can abolish the thieves in your heart and set everything right. Page 40. Problems of the world. Many people, particularly educated, professional people, are moving out of the big cities, seeking quieter living and simpler livelihood in the small towns and rural areas. This is natural. If you grab a handful of mud and squeeze it, it will ooze through your fingers. People under pressure likewise seek a way out. People ask me about the problems of our world, about a coming apocalypse. I ask, what does it mean to be worldly? What is the world? You do not know. This very unknowing, this very darkness, this very place of ignorance is what is meant by worldly. Caught in the 6 senses, our knowledge develops as a part of this darkness. To come to an answer to the problems of the world, we must know its nature completely and realize the wisdom that shines above the darkness of the world. These days, it seems that our culture is deteriorating, lost in greed, hatred, and delusion. But the culture of the Buddha never changes, never diminishes. It says, do not lie to others or to ourselves. Do not steal from others or from ourselves. Worldly culture has desire as its director and guide. The culture of the Buddha has compassion and the Dhamma, or truth, as its guide. Page 66. Don't imitate. We have to be aware of how people tend to imitate their teachers. They become copies, prints, castings. It is like the story of the king's horse trainer. The old trainer died, so the king hired a new trainer. Unfortunately, this man limped when he walked. New and beautiful horses were brought to him. He trained them exquisitely, to run, to canter, to pull carriages. But each of the new stallions developed a limp. Finally, the king summoned the trainer, and seeing him limp as he entered the court, he understood everything and immediately hired a new trainer. As teachers, you must be aware of the force of the examples you set. And even more important, as students, you must not follow the image, the outer form of your teacher. He's pointing you back to your own inner perfection. Take the inner wisdom as your model. Do not imitate his limp. Page 70. Learning through life. Boredom is not a real problem. If we look closely, we can see that the mind is always active. Thus, we always have work to do. Relying on yourself to do little things, like cleaning up carefully after the meal, doing chores gracefully and mindfully, not banging on kettles, helps develop concentration and makes practice easier. It can also indicate to you whether or not you have really established mindfulness or are still getting lost in defilement. You Westerners are generally in a hurry. Therefore, you will have greater extremes of happiness, suffering, and defilement. If you practice correctly, the fact that you have to deal with many problems can be a source of deep wisdom later on. Page 87. Who is sick? Late in the spring of 1979, Ajahn Chah visited the Insight Meditation Center in Barre, Massachusetts. He taught there for 10 days, and each afternoon would go for a walk around the church, or the grounds. Seeing all the students out on the lawns doing slow walking meditation, he remarked that the meditation center looked like a mental hospital for the diseases of the worldly mind. All afternoon, as he wandered past students, he would call out to them, "Get well soon. I hope you get well soon." Because people react differently, we must pick suitable practices. Body practices are especially suitable for persons with excessive lust or for forest monks. In the body meditations, look at the body, see its parts, its real constituents. Start with the head, hair, body hair, nails, teeth, skin. See it everywhere. Separate them from the outer body parts, or the other body parts. Mentally peel off the skin and see the inside. Do you want it? Seeing the true nature of the body can cut off the first 3 fetters. 1. Own body view, sense of self. We will see that it is neither us nor ours, that nothing in this world is ours. 2. Skeptical doubt. Knowing things as they are puts an end to doubt. 3. Attachment to a path based on rites and ritual. While still in doubt, we may think, perhaps this way is not doing so good. But once we see clearly that the body is, what the body is, that it, like all things, is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and empty of self, this uncertainty is cleared up. When meditating on the body, you need not contemplate all its 32 parts. If you concentrate on one and see it as it is, impermanent, unsatisfactory, empty, unclean, you will see that your body and the bodies of others are like this. If there are 32 ice cubes, you need only touch one to know the coldness of all. When we develop the meditation on the impurity of the body, we are also developing the meditation on death. Indeed, when we develop one of the dharmas, we develop them all. If we understand the fact of our own death, we can become very sensitive to all life in the world. We will naturally avoid wrongdoing and want to spend our days wisely, feeling a common bond with all beings. Page 97. Some hints on practicing. As you practice, various images and visions may arise. You see an attractive form, hear a sound that stirs you. Such an image must be observed too. This kind of vipassana image can have even more energy than one that may arise from simple concentration. Whatever arises, just watch. Someone recently asked me, as we meditate and various things arise in the mind, should we investigate them or just note them coming and going? If you see someone passing by whom you do not know, you may wonder, who is that? Where is he going? What is he up to? But if you know the person, it is enough just to notice him pass by. Desire in practice can be friend or foe. At first, it spurs us to come and practice. We want to change things, to understand, to end suffering. But to be always desiring something that has not yet arisen, to want things to be other than they are, just causes more suffering. Someone asked, should we just eat when hungry, sleep when tired, as the Zen masters suggest, or should we experiment by going against the grain at times? And if so, how much? Of course, one should experiment, but no one else can say how much. All of this is to be known within oneself. At first, in our practice, we are like children learning to write the alphabet. The letters come out bent and sloppy, time and again. The only thing to do is keep at it. And if we do not live life like this, what else is there for us to do? A good practice is to ask yourself very sincerely, why was I born? Ask yourself this question 3 times a day, in the morning, in the afternoon, and at night. Ask every day. The Buddha told his disciple Ananda to see impermanence, to see death with every breath. We must know death. We must die in order to live. What does this mean? To die is to come to the end of all our doubts, all our questions, and just be here with the present reality. You can never die tomorrow. You must die now. Can you do it? Ah, how still, the peace of no more questions. Real effort is a matter of the mind, not of the body. Different methods of concentration are like ways of earning a living. The most important thing is that you feed yourself, not how you manage to get the food. Actually, when the mind is freed from desires, concentration arises naturally, no matter what activity you are engaged in. Drugs can bring about meaningful experiences, but the one who takes a drug has not made causes for such effects. He has just temporarily altered nature, like injecting a monkey with hormones that send him shooting up a tree to pick coconuts. Such experiences may be true, but not good. Such experiences may be true but not good, or good but not true, whereas Dhamma is always both good and true. Sometimes we want to force the mind to be quiet, and this effort just makes it all the more disturbed. Then we stop pushing, and some concentration arises. But in the state of calm and quiet, we begin to wonder, what's going on? What's happening now? And we are agitated again. The day before the first monastic council, one of the Buddhist disciples went to tell Ananda, "Tomorrow is the Sangha's council. Others who attend are fully enlightened." Since Ananda was at the time still incompletely enlightened, he determined to practice strenuously all through the night, seeking full awakening. But in the end, he just made himself tired. He was not making any progress for all his efforts. So he decided to let go and rest a bit. As soon as his head hit the pillow, he became enlightened. In the end, we must learn to let go of every last desire, even the desire for enlightenment. Only then can we be free. I've forgotten how much I love that book. It's like the teachings in there are ones I hadn't read in a long time, even in the new iterations of, stillness flowing and things. It's quite a, yeah.
What's the publication information on that? When did it come out and who put it together?
Jack Kornfield and Paul Breiter put it together. And original first edition was 1985. And this is the third printing, 1987, in a publishing house in Illinois.
It's one of the earlier collections of Ajahn Chah teachings.
And are those just recollections from the two of them, or were they transcriptions?
I'm not sure either. I think
they're translations of tapes that Paul Breiter had.
Ah, okay.
that was the first book that introduced you to Ajahn Chah, right, Ajahn?
Yeah. That book is the reason I ordained. I'm reading that book.
Dave, what book did the air hostess try to give you from Ajahn Chah? Just curious. Was it Stillness Flow, or was it Still Forest Pool?
It was in Chinese.
Okay.
I don't know. She just said, it's Ajahn. And I said, Ajahn Chah. She said, yeah.